share it out. If you're watching via Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching on Facebook, share it on your personal page, share it in the Facebook group, share it wherever you can share it on Facebook. And I like to start off the show with doing that myself. So let me get this going. You know, I almost didn't do a show this week. Just too much stuff going on. And I almost didn't do a show this week. But we're gonna start off with how to donate to the platform. If you have Cash App, Progressive Action 100, donate to the platform. If you have PayPal, the PayPal is Progressive Action 100. If you have something called Patreon, well, you don't have it, but you can subscribe to our Patreon, $25 a month to support the platform. That's a good way to support the platform if you want to do it and not think about it. $25 a month. Actually, you could donate anything above $25 a month, whatever you like. So it'll be greatly appreciated if you do that. Now, this Wednesday, July 15th, there's going to be a march called the Jericho March. Let me put that up. It's for everyone in the city. The thing about what's going on in the world today, and I have been meeting with a lot of members of the clergy, Bishop Seabrooks, Bishop Figueroa, Bishop Claudio, Bishop Jameson, and other bishops, you know, great men. And they have come up with this idea of the United Clergy Coalition, and a whole bunch of churches get together and march. We're not protesting anything. We're going to march from Cadman Plaza over the Brooklyn Bridge to City Hall. We have a sound stage up there at City Hall. It's going to be good. So if you're able to come out, please do. This is very important. I'm participating in as many marches as I can because I'm still recovering and I need to exercise. So it's good for me. But if you just want to exercise, you want to come out and march for a great cause, please come out to the Jericho March. It's very important. Oh yeah, so you see I have a new Progressive Action shirt. This is actually a one of one. I don't like making white shirts because for some reason they get dirty during the process. But this one actually came out good. But I want to show a few people who bought some shirts recently. The brother bought a Gentrify My Paycheck shirt that's found on perfidel.com. That link is actually in the bio of this video. And we got my boy with the Black Lives Matter Progressive Action shirt. Like I said, you can get it at perfidel.com, perfedel.com. Let me see something real quick. For those who just tuned in, please share out the show. It's very important. Hold on, I got to do it myself. Give me 1 second. Because I ain't started a watch party or nothing. Let me get the watch party going. Yeah. So if you want a shirt, like I said, perfidel.com. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on still in the media with you know, the NYPD is very upset at this whole defunding thing, and they've been throwing shots at everyone. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because why is NYPD so mad? And a lot of NYPD is talking up against everything that happened in Missouri, rightfully so. But my problem with the NYPD is that when things happen in their own backyard, when things happen on their turf, why are they silent? And I don't get it. So this whole defunding the police thing, of course, came up, and a lot of police officers, and I won't say police officers, but like chiefs and high-ranking police officers are speaking up against it. And I found this tweet to be kind of like disturbing. You know, they said, disgraceful the amount of people shot in Manhattan North in the past 24 hours. Where are the elected officials and violence interrupter? The community is suffering. The community been suffering. This isn't anything new. And sometimes the community suffer at the hands of the police and the justice system and things of that nature. Why wasn't the NYPD vocal then? Why? In another post or tweet they put up, said Manhattan DA Cy Vance, where are you? No show at any shooting scene. Our community is being attacked. There have been 24 people shot in the city in the past 24 hours. Where are you? I find that kind of strange that the police would be taking a stance against district attorneys like that. I find that to be very strange. And has a DA ever responded to a shooting scene? And it seems as if there's some type of silent protest when it comes to the NYPD and these shootings, because why the egregious amount of shootings now? And another issue that I have with this whole NYPD thing and defunding the police. Listen, to all the lawmakers out there, the people who vote on, city council and things of that nature. Honestly, we don't have to defund the police. Let's not defund them, but let's refund our communities. And when I say refund, there shouldn't be a lot of money in NYPD and not a lot of money in communities. If it's $6 billion to run NYPD, fine. There needs to be a 2-to-1 ratio or something set up. So if you have $6 billion in NYPD, then there needs to be $12 billion for communities, because the NYPD isn't alone. The whole the prison pipeline to get to prison is there too. Because let's be honest, it's more easier to get a gun than it is to get a job. And someone will give you a gun faster than they would give you a job. Why? Because those resources is not out there for us. That's a big why are all these shootings up? Why all these shootings is up? There's nothing for us to do. What's up with our community centers? What up with basketball leagues? Like New York and New York City is like one of the only states where you cannot go play basketball in the gym. There's no gyms open for us to go have fun in and recreation. What is it for us to do in our communities? There's nothing for us to do in our communities. So what do you expect people to do? And I'm going to tell you, even in my neighborhood in Jersey, you could leave your doors open over there. Since these kids been home, I caught some kids knocking on my glass and running away. Now, these are suburban kids. This is about the most trouble that they could get into. But it shows you that if kids don't have nothing to do and you don't keep them occupied and you don't keep them busy, they're going to get into mischief. I don't care if you're in the suburbs. I don't care if you're in the hood. The kids is going to get into something. And that is a direct effect of our communities. Our communities are not being funded enough to keep kids off the street. Like, once again, there's no jobs. There's no after school programs. What happened to PAL? What happened to that? Why aren't they winter basketball leagues in the communities? Tennis, soccer, golf, all types of stuff. If you pay attention to this pandemic, they opened up golf courses and tennis courts before they opened up basketball courts. And when you look at how these sports are divvied up in the communities, if you look in the urban communities, you won't find no golf course. You will barely find the tennis course. You'll find those in the suburban, the more Caucasian neighborhoods. So those kids was good because they involved in all of that. We don't have that in our community. So you just opened up the basketball courts. I guarantee you those shootings is going to drop a little bit. Guarantee you that, because now you're speaking the urban community language, because that's something that we did. And it's the summertime. It's the summertime. So These police officers, some of them are tripping. They mad because the whole defunding the police. Nobody don't know where this money is going. Yeah, it's gonna leave NYPD, but where is it going? The mayor pulled the sleight of hand. Oh, we're going to move school safety back to the DOE. The DOE was already underwriting the school safety with the NYPD with $300 million anyway. So you giving it back to them? Yes. You wasn't underwriting the program of school safety. You wasn't underwriting that. So it's a lot of sleight of hand that's going on, and we must remain vigilant, and we must hold our elected officials accountable. Tony Herbert was completely right. We must hold our elected officials accountable, and there needs to be a breakdown of where this money is going and where it's being spent, and not to politicians, family, and friends, and things of that nature. I had a friend today call me, and she seen the news clip that I was in yesterday, and she owns a daycare, and she said that they not getting nothing for the daycares, nothing at all. They getting like $4 per child or something like that. You can't survive off of that running a daycare. They need money, and she don't understand why they aren't getting money. And we need answers to that. We definitely need answers to that. What else is going on in the news? We have the MTA hiring consultants to track OT costs as COVID pandemic halts use of new time clocks. Now look at this. They ordered time clocks, and the virus messed everything up. The virus messed everything up. No more time clocks. And they did that to try to keep employees. They think that we were stealing money. Everybody knowing the MTA, as far as New York City Transit, it is too hard to steal money for New York City Transit. It's almost impossible. We there's too much checks and balances with us to steal money. So that whole biometric time clock thing shouldn't have been here in the first place. And speaking of the biometric time clock, part of the reason some of us got sick was because the MTA didn't react fast enough to shut down those biometric time clocks. They still had us using those time clocks in the middle of this pandemic. So we can't forget about that. We definitely can't forget about that. That's kind of crazy. What else is in the news? Now I find this to be kind of, we gotta keep our eyes open for this. The MTA to spend $100 million on 9,000 digital screens for ads across New York City subway. Whenever I see ads, digital screen ads, I think that jobs are going to be missing. These digital screens will take the place of wayfinders. They will take the place of I forgot the name of the department that hang up the signs. Traffic checkers. Traffic checkers gonna be obsolete soon. The MTA is buying digital screens. The MTA is preparing not to have wayfinders. They spending $100 million on digital screens. There's no way possible you think they go keep these digital screens and keep wayfinders. So that means that you got two departments that's the MTA is planning to take a hit on. That's Map Store with the traffic checkers, and that's stations. Stations is already up under all types of fire. All types of fire. You got Omni, now you got these digital screens. What is going to happen to our station agents in these next few years? What is going to happen? There's so much stuff going on. And if we overlook it, we're going to be in trouble. we're going to be in trouble. Once again, if you're just tuning into the show, please share out the show. It'd be very nice for you to do that. Please share out the show. Now, this is where things get important. I want to put up this news article right here. MTA's return to work guide outlines strategies for bringing officers back to life. I found this article to be very important because it shows you how they value one set of people and don't value the other set of people. So they came up with a few rules, a few stipulations of how they're going to be bringing back the workers in the offices. They don't care. Listen, if you're a train operator, if you're a bus operator, if you're a conductor, if you're a cleaner, if you're in track, they don't care about you. And this shows it all right here. They say rule number 1, no more than 30% of employees are supposed to report at the same time. I find that interesting. We talking about people who work in cubicles who are basically sectioned off anyway. They don't want no more of 30% of them to return back to work. But when it comes to operational employees, they want us all back to work like there's no pandemic in place. That's something to pay attention to. Now, for them to achieve that 30% goal, they go be staggering work arrival and departure times to limit crowding on subways and buses now carrying more than 2 million riders daily. Once again, how can a bus operator, how can a train operator, how can someone on the platform be safe? Because it don't matter. This whole virus thing, it's not going to say, well, you know what? They are workers, so we not going to affect them, or they passengers. But it's not going to say that. It's not going to say that. Some of these crew rooms, you're still not able to properly social distance. I was just on the train today. The MTA failed to make announcements. For some reason, a tree fell on the Brighton line. No Q or B trains was coming past. The B's was suspended. The Q's was going over the D's. The platform was packed. Totally packed. The MTA said nothing. You couldn't social distance. And if you know the platforms is packed, what's going to happen when that first train rides through? You're not going to be able to social distance. And not everyone is wearing a mask. And then you got people that wear masks that sometimes they have water. They want to take a drink of water. Sometimes they're eating something on the train. So not everybody is wearing a mask all the time on the train. Or the bus for that matter. People eat, people drink, and you just can't stop that. But there is a virus still here. Now I'm gonna show you guys this next screenshot. And this is what they safety protocols are for working in offices. Workers should access kitchens only to heat food or retrieve it from the refrigerator. Newsflash. Frontline employees don't have kitchens. We're in one big area. Everybody use the refrigerator. Everybody use the sink. So how do we achieve that on the road? Conference rooms should be avoided in favor of online meeting platforms. Essential in-person gatherings should be held in an open, ventilated spaces where 6 feet of social distancing is possible. How can you obtain that in Stillwell Terminal where hundreds of crews report their day? A conference room is no different than a crew room or a depot. It's no difference. Forget the name. It's the same amount of space. So how can you achieve social distancing in these spaces and operational positions and frontline positions? But they taking these precautions in these office positions. Only one employee at a time should use photocopy machines. You look at the dispatcher offices. People use the photocopying machine because things is happening like this. How do you achieve that in those type of environments. Consider how you would greet others without shaking hands. Example, verbal greeting or hand gesture. How do you, we still getting spit on out there. I understand in the offices is safe. You don't wear a uniform. You don't have to worry about an angry passenger or customer spitting in your face in the office. Some of this stuff we can't even avoid. So if you don't want people who work in the offices greeting and shaking hands, then how do you think we feel getting assaulted and spit on and things thrown on us on the road? But the reason why they taking these precautions, because the people who's in these office positions are not mostly people of color. Yeah, the low level ones, but the high level ones, they don't represent the membership. So they're going to take the most extreme precautions to protect themselves and forget everybody else. Because everybody know the frontline workers make up a certain group, and this certain group look like each other. And it don't look like the people who's making sure these policies is in place. So the question that needs to be asked is, why are there different policies for different parts of this agency, especially when you're dealing with the different races? Why? I mean, office work is a controlled environment. They should be able to come to work full throttle. Our environment is not controlled because anything can happen at any given time on that road. Door problem, someone jump in front of the train, power outage, trees fall, sick passenger, whatever. Those are uncontrolled situations. But for something like an office position where they could control their day, they take in the most extreme precautions. This is something that we must pay attention to as a membership. Because for some reason, Tony Utano is silent, and we know why he's silent. Because the people who's dying do not look like him. He don't care. This is crazy. This is crazy. I want to get into this video from Sarah Feinberg, the interim MTA president. And I want you guys to listen to what she have to say clearly. Listen real clearly to what she have to say. Then we're going to discuss it.
Well, but right now buses is ahead.
And will you, when you get those shields up for the bus drivers, will you reopen the fare boxes all on one specific day, or will that be phased in?
Well, we've said that we're going to start collecting fares again in August. I don't know which day yet. We're still looking at it. But look, we have to open up the fare box again. Our financial situation is dire, and so we can't continue to not be collecting fares on buses. And look, I mean, right now there's a lot of space between the operator and the riders. As more riders come back, we've got to make sure that we're opening up the bus so that people can continue to put as much distance between themselves and their fellow riders as possible, while of course doing everything we can to protect the operator. But we've got to start collecting fares again.
Yeah. Sarah, when I talked to Pat Foy last week, he was talking about the financial situation. Has there been any progress on?
Do you hear what they worrying about? The MTA is worrying about collecting fares. All over again. It's all about the fares. Now, they supposed to be setting up some real partitions for the bus operators. But something is telling me that they are going to be ready to collect fares before bus operator safety is number one. And what I would say, if that's the case, to any bus operator out there who is happen to come across a bus where you don't have a full partition and they start collecting fares, knock that bus down. That bus is to not go out. You get another bus. No bus operator should be taking any buses that don't have full First of all, we should have been had full partitions. It took a pandemic for everyone to realize finally that bus operators need full enclosures. I don't even want to call it partitions. They need full enclosures. It should have been there just for off of the assaults alone. The MTA not thinking, if you eliminate assaults on workers, you eliminate workers' comp cases. That would save you millions and millions and millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. For some strange reason, I mean, if the union actually go for a partition instead of a full enclosure, once again, this is another thing we must reevaluate our union leadership on. We must reevaluate them because they out here tripping. They are out here tripping for sure. For sure. You see, James Maldonado said we can't do it with the express buses. They got to do something. They have to do something. They got to do something. Something got to be done. Or drivers should not be driving those buses. They shouldn't be driving those buses. And as far as I'm concerned, wait, do the express buses? Oh yeah, they come out of there. I mean, look, I know some of the express buses come out of Staten Island, and I know that you guys in ATU, they didn't get no contract, and the MTA is talking about not giving them a contract. I will refuse to drive that bus unsafe until the MTA figure it out. That's how they figured it out. And this whole thing, like, they play so much on our psyche, and we fall for it. There's a pandemic that's killing people left and right. The MTA puts up a shower curtain. The MTA put up a shower curtain and say that you'll feel safe, to give you a peace of mind. Like this virus is going to come to the shower curtain and say, hold up, we can't go past here. This virus is airborne, first of all. So if you have circulating air on your bus or on your train, then guess what happens? That virus is going to get to you. That virus is definitely going to get to you. So this whole psychological game with us, a false sense of security that we are, it's just like, picture the NYPD. There's a war going on outside. The NYPD giving workers life jackets instead of bulletproof vests. And you're thinking, at least I got on a vest, I'm going to be protected. But it's not a vest that can stop bullets. It's a vest that can save you if you're drowning. But we so beat up that we thinking a life vest for police work will give you peace of mind against this real war that's going on out here. That's how are we still driving these buses? How is that? Those little chains and don't sit close to here don't mean anything. It's an extreme false sense of security to be driving your bus with a shower curtain in it. That's whoever came up with that was an idiot, but they was intelligent because they got the right membership to pull that on. They got the right people to pull that on, and they got the right union leadership to pull that on too. They have the right union leadership to pull that on, because I don't think Quill would have went for that, but I guarantee you Utano did. Guarantee you Utano did. Now I came across some tweets from the union, and I want to show y'all a couple of the tweets, because for some reason Local 100 is trying to separate themselves from this whole issue of workers dying, them failing to react during the pandemic to give us mask, hand sanitizer, to make sure that the MTA actually did it. So this is a tweet that the union put up, and it says, "Hey MTA, it only takes one person without a mask to spread the virus and to contaminate our buses and endanger our operator." It only takes one person. So let's get this right. The union knows that it takes one person to spread the virus. The union also knows that not everybody on buses are wearing masks. And what do the union do? The union know of the danger. They know of the risk that operators face every day, and they do absolutely nothing. If you know it only takes one person to spread the virus, then why would you have your members in an unsafe environment knowing what you know? Why would you do that? So they also put this up, which I found strange too. Union calls for NYPD action to enforce mask wearing on buses. Map Store VP Richie Davis calls for Eagle teams to get involved. Pres Utano calls for $100 fine while MTA downplays situation. So Richie Davis calls for the Eagle team to get involved. Guess what? I call for the union to get involved. The union has done absolutely nothing during this entire pandemic but hide out for a couple of months, peeked out the door. Oh, it's safe to come out. Now let's go out here and act like we was doing things. Let's go take some photo ops. Let's go stand in this bus depot. Let's go to Stillwell Terminal. This is the weakest set of males I ever seen in my life. Utano calls for a $100 fine. What does that fine have to do with once a worker is infected? Did you forget that you just said it only takes one person without a mask to spread the virus? So if a police officer writes a fine for someone without a mask, doesn't that mean they didn't have on a mask already? Then does that mean that they possibly could have spread the virus already? Now I get it. You want to give a deterrent, but you want to know what? You're not doing anything to protect members. $100 fine is not going to protect members right now. The Eagle team right now and going to the media is not going to protect members right now. But you want to know what? You continuously allow workers to work unsafe after the 140 deaths here in New York City Transit. Now, I find this next tweet to be kind of comical because for some reason, Nick Bedell decided to come out of his hiding place to defend Tony Utano. Now, let me give you guys a rundown on who Nick Bedell is. Nick Bedell, he was the educational director for Local 100. He ran the shop steward class. When Samuelson won the International, he brung Nick Bedell over to the International and told Nick Bedell to come there. We haven't had a shop steward class in the past 3-4 years. Knowledge is power. Tony Utano want this union membership to be powerless. They don't want to give us the information to arm ourselves. Because if we have the information to arm ourselves, then we have the information to overthrow them, and we will really see what they are about. We will really see what they are about if they was to educate us. And even when they had the shop steward class ran by Nick Bedell, and I told Nick Bedell this himself, his class is trash. If you want a certificate, go get a certificate to make yourself feel good. But the class is trash. It needs to be revamped. It needs to be blown up or whatever. But like I was saying, I find it strange. I find it strange that Nick Bedell came to defend this. Actually, I don't find it strange. Nick Bedell needs a job. Probably Utano hired him. John Samuelson fired Nick Bedell a couple of weeks ago. Why? I don't know. But for some reason, Nick Bedell came running to defend Tony Utano. Now, it's either he been hired by Utano again or he's looking for a job. But this is the game that they play. So I tweeted, if you look at the tweet, MTA downplays situation and Utano stands silent and idle while members are in harm's way. So Nick Bedell, he comments and says, Utano quoted, "How is that standing silent?" Then I tell Nick Bedell, "Action speaks louder than words, Nick. He says a lot but does nothing. Workers died because of COVID and he did nothing but talk." Now, where I'm from, I was always told that action speaks louder than words. Action speaks louder than words. You talking about empty threats. Utano is the king of empty threats. He's probably more focused on trying to get me fired than actually going at the MTA or Cuomo. Who wants a president who's going to give the MTA lip service? Lip service got us into this predicament that we in now. Oh, how is that standing silent? Action speaks louder than words. Sometimes saying less is more. Don't tell me, show me. Oh man. Oh man. Where was Utano actions at during this whole pandemic? You think that you want to know why Utano didn't care? Utano didn't care because it wasn't Italians that was dying here. When Pat Foy told Utano to have a safe Columbus Day, he got his panties in a bunch. All these workers, about over 95% of the workers who died were of minorities. So Utano's lack of action during this whole COVID thing said a lot to me. It said a lot. It said that he don't care about black and brown people. He's not excluded. He's not separate from the MTA, because when you look at the union leadership and you look at the MTA leadership, what do they have in common? What do the MTA leadership and the union leadership have in common? What do all the people who died got in common? What do all the people who get a whole bunch of discipline? What agency get the most discipline? What do we have in common? The MTA is a racist organization. Do you expect them to say, "No, we not. Yeah, we racist. Yeah, what you gonna do?" You don't expect none of them to say. Trump not even stupid enough to say that. He come close to it, but he won't say it. You think I'm that naive that I need someone who doesn't look like me to blatantly tell me that they're racist? No. You think that someone who's racist gotta always call you the N-word to say that they racist? Like the only way they could be racist is if they call you the N-word or the S-word? Is that the only way that they could be racist? Don't be so naive. Racism is a systematic thing, and they always look for other ways to disguise it. Racism is hidden in our discipline system. Racism is hidden in our contracts. The last show I just explained to you why cleaners are the only title who start out at an inferior wage progression from every other title in New York City Transit. Why is that? Because historically, black people were only allowed to be porters in this business. Some things in contracts go overlooked, but there's a racial part to that of why cleaners start at 60% top pay. Now, I guarantee you they go fix it because I'm bringing it up or try to fix it. But these people do not care about us. I don't even know how, I wish I spoke 10 different languages to tell you guys this because I don't think it's resonating. Tony Utano do not care about this black and brown membership. Action speaks louder than words. What happened when Denard Jenkins got viciously stabbed in the Bronx? Where was Utano? Know what Utano said? I'm enjoying Easter dinner with my family. I cannot come out. A black guy almost lost his life, stabbed up. When the Italian train operator got punched in her face, where was Utano? By her side. What did Utano do after that? He held the press conference. Don't it make more sense to have the most egregious assault on the side of you along with everything else? When someone got assaulted who looked like him, like it could have been his sister, like it could have been his mother, like it could have been his daughter, his aunt, he felt that. And he ran out there. But when the black conductor got stabbed up, he did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. But you want to know whose fault it is? That's our fault. We allow people like Utano to get away with these things. We allow with all these politicians to get away with these things. We allow the governor to sweet talk us with all these things. All of this stuff is gimmickry. Gimmickry. All this stuff is gimmickry. It's all a gimmick. It's an illusion. They fool us every time with thinking that they care about us. They do not care about us. I don't even know how Utano could walk to any depot or train terminal unscathed. He shouldn't even be allowed to talk at any depot or train terminal. I mean, I like, it's so blatant on how they treat us. It's blatant. Blatant. Like, Utano don't gotta call me the N-word for me to make him think that's how he see me. He already proved that. I don't care what he did for Richie Davis. Richie Davis, he's a black Republican. That says a lot. He don't see himself as one of, he think he's better than us. When I see Richie Davis, I speak with him, but I tell him about himself too. I heard he been slithering around here a little bit. But that's what they do. They keep a token, like, to work under Utano as a black person. Utano sees you as weak and he uses you as a puppet. So you got all these women issues going on. Where was LaTanya? You got this racism stuff going on in the Union Hall. Where's Earl? Where's Richie Davis? Everybody's quiet. Why? Because they comfortable. Nobody don't want to mess up that little thing they got going on. Nobody don't want to mess up those 6-figure union checks. So what they do, they sell out and say F us for themselves. They would never tell you that though. They would never say, you know what, you right. I don't speak up for the members because the money is good here, the responsibility is low, and it's a free ride. You would never hear any of them say that. But once again, actions speak louder than words. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Their actions have been speaking volumes. Volumes. And like I say all the time when I talk about these racial situations, there's a thing called collateral damage. Yes, white people died during COVID in Local 100. Yes, white people get disciplined. Yes, white people get the same contract that we get. But with collateral damage, at the cost of doing business, they will take down a couple of white people in the midst of all of this stuff. In order for them, if they got to get 8 blacks, they're going to get 2 whites. And for some odd reason, some of the Caucasian people here, they think they're going to get separate deals from the black people here. They gotta wake up. They gotta be like, hold up, maybe I am getting treated the way I'm treated here because of the affiliation of the people that I work with. And the only way to rectify it is to stand with them in their fight. That's the only way to rectify it. Don't be like, oh, they tripping or they doing this. No, because if we fighting for us, guess what? We fighting for you guys too, because we all in this together. You never hear black people here say, oh, we only go fight for us. It's for some reason, only white people think that. White people think that things don't affect them because of their skin color. They could be inside a burning house, and black people could be on the first and second floor. You'll have white people on the third floor saying, oh, they floors go burn up. We're good. And it be privilege making them think like that, like certain things don't affect them. It's going, if we get in the same contract, we working under the same rules, you're going to get hit too. Yes, maybe when you go see labor relations and you go see Axelrod or whoever it is at labor relations and they see your skin color, maybe they will give you a little play. But for the most part, you're not going to get that because of collateral damage. And they admitted, from what I understand, that they admitted that there's a racial discrimination and discipline in New York City Transit. So there's definitely something there. It's definitely something there. Like, how can you not like progressive action? How can you not like what's going on here? No other crew have shook the boat so fast and effectively than progressive action. No crew, no other crew, ever. It took Quill and them years to do. Yes, Quill created the union. After Quill, no other crew did this in such little time. No other crew. We are changing things, not only in Local 100, but in our communities. We doing a lot. We doing a lot. But it's true. We must come together. I need my Caucasian brothers and sisters to stop thinking that you're going to get a separate contract from the rest of us. Stop thinking that this discipline is not going to hurt you. Stop thinking that you're going to be saved at the end of the day. You're not going to be saved. You're going to get the same business that we're going to get. That's pretty delusional to think that you're going to get something different. These people don't write. These people, they don't ask what's your nationality on these applications for their health. You think they not watching all of this stuff? You think that they not keeping track of this stuff? It's not for census purposes. It's not. We must find a way to come together. We must find a way to stop letting Utano get away with his nonsense. And it's not even nonsense. It's almost like he's conspiring with the MTA to hurt us. Not one time during this entire pandemic where we lost 140 workers, not once did he say the C word. And you know what the C word is. You know what the C word is, right? He haven't said Cuomo name not one time. How you don't mention Cuomo name? He ain't mentioned Cuomo name not one time. That's a sucker. Straight up. Straight up. Utano is soft. He's not built. I hear everybody say Utano is a nice guy. Utano's a nice guy. Utano's a nice, but he's a weak leader. They all unanimously say that. He is a weak leader. And Utano plan for next election is to pass it off to John Chiarello, because a lot of people don't know John Chiarello took his credit card and paid for John Samuelson election, the last election. And man, we got some serious waking up to do. We got some serious waking up to do. John Owens, I'm going to say this to you, John Owens. You pretty delusional if you think that this whole racism thing is not a systematic thing and you keep thinking it's an individual thing. That's pretty ridiculous. That's beyond ridiculous. Stop thinking that racism is an individual trait. Racism is hidden systematically and institutionally and in capitalism. Stop thinking that these one individual, there's only individual. No, you're right. There are individuals, but there's a collective of individuals that want to oppress another collection of individuals. If you don't think that, you must never picked up a history book. And you could pick up the history books that's in school. They lied anyway, but they told the consistent lie about how blacks were oppressed and how there's systematic race. How can you say that racism is an individual thing when everybody knows that there's systematic racism and institutional racism in America? Who are these institutions made up of? Who is controlling these systems? Think of the name, systematic. Who's controlling these systems to make them work against another group of people? It's not people that look like me. Stop thinking that it's an individual thing. These are not, you acting like, oh, you know what? You have a white guy. He get caught with some cocaine. He's getting probably probation. You have a black guy. He gets caught with some crack. He's getting 4 years in jail. You trying to tell me that it was an individual that sentenced these people separately, or was a system that's made to protect one set of people and burn the next set of people? Stop being foolish, man. You smarter than that, John. You are smarter than that. Oh, it's individual. So systematic racism don't exist in your world, but I expect it not to, because you don't deal with the stuff that the regular black man deal with on a day-to-day basis. You just don't. So I don't expect you to understand how it feel to be in my shoes. And as a white man, you should have more consideration on telling black people how to think and how our feelings should be. I think that's very disrespectful of you. And in fact, I think that that's racist. You should not be in a predicament to tell someone how to think. That's just like you trying to tell a woman how to be a woman and how a woman should think and feel. You never was a woman to tell a woman how she should think and feel when it comes to certain things. It's the same thing with race. You can't tell black people that racism is an individual trait. There's no way. You can't tell. How you gonna tell me that? When I experience it almost every day, whether it's blatant, whether it's indirect, or whether it's covert. In some form or fashion, you run into that as a black man. At least, let me be real, at least once a week. At least. You really got to be, I like you, John, but you really got to be more mindful of what you're talking about. You got to be more mindful of what you're saying to people of color. Stop thinking that you got the answer to how we should feel. You don't. You don't have a clue, actually, to be honest with you. Don't stop telling black people how to think. We're not doing that here. We're not doing that here under any circumstance. You could tell your white friends how to think. You could tell your white friends that racism is individual. You could tell them that, but don't tell no black person that foolishness. That's foolish. And this and what I tell to my people, stop letting people control these crazy ass narratives. Stop letting them tell us how to think, how to feel, what to talk about, what not to talk about. That's part of hiding the racism. If you're not allowed to talk about it, then how can you discuss it? How can you overcome it? Sometimes white people think discussing racism affects their bottom dollar. It does. That's why they tell us not to talk about it. They think that it affects their living. They think that it affects their existence. That's the real threat and worry about it. That's why they don't want us to talk about it. It is what it is. John Owens, you got no friends? John, I'm your friend. Because I'll tell you this, as a friend, you take criticism pretty well. And I don't consider you my enemy, but if you keep telling black people how to think, I'm gonna have to reevaluate that. I'm gonna have to reevaluate that, John. I'm seriously gonna have to reevaluate that, man. But we go from moving forward. We're going to control our own narratives. We're not going to tell them how. We're not going to let them tell us how to think. We're not going to let them tell us what to do. We're not going to let them tell us how we should feel. We're not going to let them tell us when we should talk, how loud we should speak. We're not going to let them tell us anything. We're going to move forward. We're going to do what we got to do. And they should be standing side by side with us during this struggle. Thanks for tuning into the Progressive Action TV show. I'll catch you guys.